Alright, so I know it's been a while since I've done any videos and or showing you what I've been working on for our game, but we have moved on a little bit from our main game as we just don't really have the time. It is a lot to work on as it's an open RPG kind of game. It's just a lot to do and there's only so much two people can do on a game. So we actually ended up moving on to a new game. Don't worry, we'll still be working on the actual main game, Echoes of Tenebracia, but for now we're here on another game that we've made recently. It's called Brawlers. It'll be a dodgeball game on Roblox. It's nothing too big, nothing crazy. This is just kind of a small game that we made that we could with the time that we have. And I'm just gonna go over like the inventory system, maybe the shop system real quick, as it's probably something that I'll be switching with the Echoes of Tenebracia game, as the inventory system and shop system in that game is not very good for what I have there. So we're actually just going to take a look at the inventory system right now. So right here you can see the UI. We got obviously inventory. You'll see here we got trails, which is coming soon. We just don't have trails yet, that's all. Here we have the dodgeball skins, and right here we'll just go right into it here. You'll see that's the frame, and then here is a list item. That way I can have more frames inside here, or images or anything I want, and if it does get too large it can scroll up and down. And then we have the same thing duplicated over, just called a different thing for trails, and then we have the close button up top, and then the equip button down here. Let's see. I'm lost in my own thing. Here we go. The equip button here. And so this will allow you to just equip the item that's in your inventory. You don't have to worry about this right here. This is the items list in here. That's not, you don't have to worry about that for now. I'm actually gonna get rid of that. So because that feature will be the crates that we will be introducing later in an update when I get everything working and we have most of the game kind of complete and I have a lot of skins and trails that we can use. Anyways, so you'll see that we had the equip button there. So how do we get these frames? Well, I made it as a simple thing, so I actually ended up following a tutorial a while ago and getting a lot of help on the dev forums and or looking at the documentation, and ended up coming across using a script, and in that script will be like sounds, frames, selected frames, and a button. And within all these they all have their own thing. So this one has a viewport, this one just has another viewport with a label, and these are all things that I'll use to duplicate something and create it from the inventory that I end up with. So we'll just go ahead and look at right over. If I go inside of it, we'll see that we start with a lot of variables. Nothing I'm going to go over because this is pretty basic. It's just going over any items inside my lists and just appointing these variables to those. And then we'll come down and we'll see the open and close buttons. This is just allowing me to click the button here and then open up the thing, and then click the X here and close the UI. I also have it where I can click the button and then I can click it again to close it. Whenever I open up something, I don't want these to be interactable, because if you click inventory and it has it open and then you click shop, you're going to open your shop and you won't have inventory closed. So then you close your shop and you'll still have inventory open. A lot of people like to do it so if you open up one UI, you'll get rid of the other UI. I just think it's nice and easier to just be able to open and close just one thing at a time. That way you're not too overwhelmed with everything if you're getting into a match and you're trying to close out all your frames. From there, we're just inside here. Do the same thing, that's just your close, and then we set up a list, and that's going to be all your buttons, or technically this will be all your inventory stuff. And then right here we get our shop folder module, and you'll just see that right here. This is just a list of all the items that you can buy in the shop, because the inventory is tied to the shop. Again, I can go over it real quick, but I'm probably just going to go over the inventory by itself. but just to name something real quick, it's just one item, and it's just a bunch of items with a name, a price, an image ID, a description real quick, a bool, and a class. That's it. That's what the list contains, is all of that. And then I just name it to whatever I want. I change the price, I change the ID, the description, make the bool false or true, and then I can also have the class. So then we go ahead and go back here, we get those, and this is just going to be your default inventory items. This function is only to supply your default items that you will have. So, and just to show it real quick, I will turn this invisible real quick. Just go in. Alright, and if we open up inventory, you can see right here we have a default dodgeball skin, which is equipped already, and we also have a Trails default, which is also equipped. Again, Trails is coming much later in the game, but we won't worry about it too much. For now, all you need to know is that you will have defaults when you start, and it will automatically be equipped. So then we'll get out real quick. And we'll just see right here, this is how we start it. So we go, we set our inventory, and we invoke the server because we do want to return a value. So we go to our server script, and there we're going to look for our inventory RF. It's not what we wanted to do. Here we are. This is our inventory RF. We get the onvoke, and then we're going to call our game manager module script, and that's going to get our get player inventory. So we're just going to look at our module script, and we're going to look at get player inventory, which is right here, and it just gets the player's data dot inventory and returns it back to your server script, and then returns that back to your inventory, your client. Now the reason why we go and invoke this to the server and then call the game manager module is because we don't want it to be just client-sided. We want to make sure that everybody knows that you have this item, because if you don't, then when you equip an item, everybody else is going to see the default ball while you see your item that you equipped. That's just not what you want. So that's why we go through the server first and then call the game manager, because now it's server-sided. And then we invoke it back and get what we had. So then we have our 4 item list, and we're just going to go through the inventory that we get, and it's just going to go, okay, if item name is equal to dodgeball, which is our default dodgeball, by the way, then it's going to create a thing called new button, and it's quite literally creating a button. If we were to go inside our thing, you can see it's called item button. It literally just creates a button, and then it takes the name and turns it to the name of the item. So it'll be dodgeball, and then you'll see that the item name is equal to default, because I want you to know that that is your default ball, and everybody has it. But normally, otherwise, it would be turned to the same as this. And then it'll also set the image to the image ID. And then if it's ever clicked, it'll create a selected frame with your text, and that'll end up right here. This is your selected frame right here, and this is where everything goes. So that button, you'll click the button right here, and it'll come over to here, and it'll show you the image, and it'll call the name, so it'll be called default, and then right here is going to be where the description is, and then the button right there is where you'll be able to click to equip. So remember, we create a button, and that button will go right here, and it'll have a name, it'll have an image, and then you click it, and that button will be what allows you to see your selected item. And then we'll just go back over here, and we see if it's not equal to the thing, then it'll make sure it is, because say you just click the same thing, then why change it? It's already there. And then we go ahead and do another remote function and invoke the server again, and we'll call this one item equipped bool, and we'll just go ahead and look at it. Player item equipped. We'll just go ahead and look at where that is. right here. It's just, we're gonna call another variable because again we want to return that variable because we invoked it, so it expects something in return. We call the game manager module and it does check if item is equipped, and then it passes in the, you'll notice that we passed in the item's name, and then we have the player and the item being passed into the module, and we go into the module. And then we see check if item is equipped, and it'll go through a for loop inside the player's inventory again, and just checking if the name is the same, and then seeing if it's equipped, it'll call bool true, break the for loop, and return the bool. And then we come back here, and now we have our true or false, and then we come back to the client, and we see now that it is true or false. If it's, and then it goes ahead and sets the name and the image like we were talking about, and then it'll set the item equipped bool to true and or false. So if it's true, then that means it is equipped, so we're just going to call the button text to equipped. That way you know that it is equipped, and there's no reason for you to be able to interact with it again because it's already equipped. So we're just going to make sure it's false, so you can't just keep clicking it. Else, which means that the bool was actually false, which means it's not equipped, then set the text to equipped, and then allow you to click the button. So when now you're allowed to click the button, you'll be able to click it, and then what's going to happen, we'll go down here real quick and we'll just show you, if you do click the button right here, if you click the button, then it's just going to make sure that it is visible and it's true. Then we're going to be allowed to go in. We're just going to call a local class, and then we'll see it is now equipped and the interactable is false, and then we're going to do another for loop, and in this for loop we're going to look at all of the items. So we have that list that was way up top that we created, way up top right here, this list, and you'll see right here that we do insert that into the table at the end. And we'll get to that in a second, but we go through a for loop real quick. When we click that button, we get the button that we clicked, and then we're going to see if the class, we're going to set the class equal to the button's, I believe, class, which is quite literally, right? Yep, item.class. And then we call a fire server remote event, which will send the item's name and the class. So we're just going to go to the server real quick. We'll just call it selected item, equip item. And we'll see right here we do game manager.data, and then we set. So what happens here is we're getting the player, the item, and the class. So we have the player, it's going to be you, and then the item that we were just talking about, and then the class. And what happens here is we're going to go to data, game.data, right here, and there's a key that was supplied. You'll see it. The key that was supplied is the class, and class is either going to be, that we have in here, the class is either going to be dodgeball or the other one will be trail, but we don't have trails yet, so we're not really worried about it. And we're going to look and we're going to say, hey, if key is equal to the dodgeball class, right, because that's what it was called, was dodgeball, key is equal to dodgeball, then we're going to do another for loop. We're going to go through the inventory of the player, and we're going to say, hey, if the item has a class that's equal to the key, because we just want to make sure that the item that we're talking about is a dodgeball and isn't a trail, because remember they're both called, or we do have defaults, but this is just to do another, just to make sure that the class is equal to dodgeball and the item name is equal to items.name, which is our for loop. Then we're going to set it to true because we did just equip this item, and then if it's else, items.equipped is equal to false, because we want to make sure that the item that we didn't just send over is going to be false. The item that we sent over should be turned to true because we're equipping it, and we don't want to change that. And then we would do the same thing for trail. We have it set up for when we do it, but for now it's just the same. We don't really use it because we don't have trails, but it would be the same premise. So then we go back here, and now you've equipped an item. And just to give you a real quick demonstration, I can go into the shop real quick, and here's a bunch of our items. I'll just buy the soccer ball real quick. So it says bought, and then it says owned because we do own it now. So if I click out of it and go here, we do have the soccer ball now, and we'll see that that's equipped. So if we click this, now that's equipped, and this is not equipped. It just says equipped. And say now we're in the game, and the game starts, and we pick up that dodgeball, it should turn into the item that is equipped. Thus, it should turn into a soccer ball. So let's just go ahead and pick it up. And now it's a soccer ball. There you go. Alright, I'm just gonna leave real quick. Alright, so now we're just gonna go back up here real quick. We're just setting that text to the item description. And then we're gonna go through it. And if there is a frame of it already, we're just gonna destroy it. And then we're going to do selected is equal to true, and then we're going to insert all of that stuff that we just made into the table of items buttons, which will then allow us to always have access to every inventory item in the player's inventory frame. And then over here we're just going to set the class is equal to dodgeball, and then we just set the parent to the list. And then we just call this. That was the whole function, and right as this game begins, it calls default to make sure that the player has a default dodgeball and trail. Perfect. And then over here we have the beginning of everything, where it's just going to loop through all the items in items properties, which is right here, our shops folder again. Just loops through it all. And we invoke the server once again to get a bool. We've already done it. Remember, player has item. If they do have the item, then it's going to be true. If it's true, then we're going to create the entire image, the button again, that has the name and the image. And then if we ever click it, it'll create a selected frame. And from there, we'll just get if it is equipped, if it isn't equipped, and then we create our button stuff, or our selected item frame, which again, would be right here. This is where all the selected stuff would go to. So it would take all the stuff from here and put it in here. And then it sets everything, inserts it into the table again, and then it's just going to sort it real quick based off of price and name. And then over here we just do the same thing. If the item or the button class equal to dodgeball, then we're just going to set the parent to the dodgeball item list, because again we want it to go here if it's a dodgeball, and if it's a trail, then it's going to go into trails list, because we do have two separate item list stuff. And then here we call refresh inventory whenever we buy something from the shop, because if you buy it, then obviously now you own it, but you didn't have it previous, so now you need to go ahead and reset everything. This is just something I would go over if we were doing the shop, but we're not really worrying about that right now. So it's nice because all I have to do ever in this game is now if I ever want to add a new item to the game, all I have to do is add one more line with different values. And I never have to go and copy and paste and hard code or do anything inside of this, because it already has it for me. So that's just the premise on the inventory system that you'll be seeing inside the Brawlers game. I'll probably do a couple more things. Absolutely go ahead and check it out, guys, because I'll be honest, it is probably a little bit more fun than most dodgeball games. We do have a dive mechanic, a catch mechanic, a dodge mechanic. We have skins. It's more of a realistic dodgeball game than most. I know a couple of dodgeball games that I've played and used as a research tool. They just kind of give the player a dodgeball when they begin the match, versus, you know, if you've ever played dodgeball in your life, it would be that the dodgeballs are lined up and there's not one for everybody. However, there should be enough for just one entire team. So it is a little bit more realistic. However, you know, some of the mechanics like diving isn't really realistic in the sense of this game, because you could just dive upwards if you really wanted to, or down, which, you know, most people wouldn't do it in the real world, but, you know, here we are. So anyways, yeah, that's all I wanted to tell you guys about. We have the inventory system. We have this new game that's coming out. I would love for you guys to go ahead and look at it. Go ahead and play it. Tell us what you think about it. See if we want to add anything. Again, go ahead and look at the Instagram page that we have. I'll probably put it in the description. I do updates on what's going on with the group, what we're making, and then as well as the actual game on Roblox, where I'll probably go ahead and link it as well in case you guys want to be able to just click and go to it straight away. Go ahead and read the description of that game as well, because we do have some interesting things, like things to look out for in the future of updates for this game, because again, this is in alpha. We're not even close to beta. There's so much more we want to put into this game, and it shouldn't be too hard to do. But for now, we've finally made the entire base game. We have dodgeball skins. We don't have everything we want, but we're, kind of close to being able to just put anything we want in now. The whole difficulty really was just trying to get the whole game loop to go, making sure the mechanics work, making sure teams can be equally placed. If somebody leaves in the middle of a match, it's going to update the count up here. So, yeah, that's pretty much anything I wanted to say, guys, and I hope you guys enjoy. Hopefully I make something else, maybe about the shop, maybe about something else, and then, yeah, that is about it. Thanks, guys.